Welcome to this podcast. This will be authentic, realistic. We want truth for Stephen Avery, for Brendan Dassey, and of course for Teresa Holbach. We will do today a presentation with some locals that deserves to be heard. She has a lot of things to say, and it looks like the people don't wanna hear, or the medias, the newspaper, even Kathleen Sellner sometimes don't wanna hear. But Stephen Avery is a very big case with people from all over the world involved and trying to do something to help. And of course, maybe the people that lives so far can do nothing, but the locals, the people from Wisconsin, people near Manitowoc or Michigan and so, they deserve to have a voice because they have a lot of things to say. I feel very happy to talk on this conversation with Courtney Skinner, Courtney,
Hello.
and Hannah Jaklowski. Hannah.
Hi.
So let's start
So,
with this. I let you to continue talking.
okay, we don't have a script or anything, so we're just gonna start as we do. Nothing planned. I gotta say this, and um, I don't know if it's gonna offend you or not, but her name is Anna because people are coming up to Anna in the town. So I just want to make sure, and it's all right if you call her Hannah, but her name is Anna because she's come forward with some pretty remarkable information, and now people are coming forward to her, and it's really important that her name be out there. And I just want to say, Anna, you're awesome. I'm so glad that you're on here, and I always have your back. So
Thanks.
cool. Um, we have a lot to say because we talk so often about it, and we're constantly meeting up and meeting other people that are coming forward. So it's kind of hard to stay on track, and um, we go round and round with all of this because we are just crazy about it, I guess. But there's still a few things. We've put out a few videos now on what you remember from October 31st to November 5th, 6th. But we still haven't gotten to what some parts of it that you haven't spoken about because we're just always working on the case. One of the things that I would like you to go over, probably again, I think I ask you in a lot of videos because my head and the timeline of events isn't as accurate as yours. And I asked you today if you would go over as accurately as you can when you saw the RAV4 at the turnaround on 147 on the 31st, the 1st, the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th, and the 5th, whatever those days are. Will you just go through that, please?
I So October 31st of 2000 and what was it, 5, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have seen the green RAV4 at the turnaround on Highway 147. I was heading to Maribel to take the kids to a babysitter, and I had said to them, I think somebody got a deer. Because there were two vehicles at the turnaround, one being the RAV4, one being a Blazer, I do believe, I'm not for sure. And there were two people down there, two guys that I seen. And this would have been in between, I want to say, at least 3:30, 4 o'clock, 4:30 maybe. It was before it got dark out, and it wasn't dark out yet. It could have been I want to say I was working that day, but I could be wrong. I could have been taking my kids trick or treating in Maribel if the hours were later, but I'm not for sure. But I do know it was that day because I drove to
But
Maribel every single day. Every single day, I would take my kids out to the babysitter. Sometimes the babysitter would come by me. So it was
one,
before it got dark out and it was still light. So I want to say, let's just say it was between 3 and 4:30 that I would have seen it at the turnaround with
okay,
the
so
two people.
I want to just stop you there because that's really crucial because the propane guy says at 3:45 he sees the green RAV4 leave the salvage yard. Okay, so that's kind of fishy. I don't know much about the propane guy. He doesn't say he sees Teresa in the RAV4. He says he sees it leave. Don't know much more about him. But according to the case file, they're saying that Teresa Hallbach left Stevens, what, at 2:30? Is it 2:30? Do
I
you
do
know?
believe so.
Okay, so you're saying that already at 3:30, you're seeing that Rav at the turnaround with, you already told me who you think you saw that day. So I better have you say it so it's from
Well,
your
I
mouth.
said it on the one other video, but it was a younger male and an older male. The older male, I do believe, was Chuck Avery, and the younger male, it wasn't Brendan, and it wasn't. I swear it was Bobby. It was a good-looking younger male. At the
Okay,
time,
and
I was only like
so that would
23
have,
years old.
Uh,
okay, and that was October 31st between 3:30 and 4:30 pretty much. That
Yeah.
you saw them down there and you thought somebody got a deer and
Yep.
the door was open in the back. Is that the
The
day the
back
tarp
door
was
was
there?
open. The back door was open, and there was a tarp on the ground. And do I know what was under that tarp? No, I do not. Was there something under that tarp? I do not know.
Okay,
I
so
just
that's
know the
the
younger male turned and looked back to that vehicle.
I have two questions.
okay.
Well, by the way, sorry, Anna, for the
No, you're
pronunciation.
fine. You're fine.
Okay, my first question to Anna is, Anna, did you saw a picture of Brian Dassey? Do you know how he is? Brian is the older brother of Bobby.
Yeah, and I don't think I've seen a picture of him.
Okay, no problem. I will send you later. And the second question is, what do you both, okay, Carney and Anna, what do you think about the fact that if Anna saw the black Chevy Blazer of Bobby, it's key thing because Stevens, um, Steven is talking sometimes about this black Chevy Blazer, and that makes me think that maybe Teresa was killed on this car. Just tell me, what do you think about it?
Very possible. There's
Very
something happened in
possible.
that car and something happened with those deer. I want to talk more about the deer later, but okay,
And this
because
would have
something.
been, so that would have been, yeah, the 31st that I would have seen all that.
Okay, and at that point nobody even knows she's missing,
Nope.
and then on the first.
The first and the second, it was still there. And well, I'm not for sure, but other people, since I've made the other videos, have come forward to me and said that they've also seen it down there, backed up, and it had a tarp by it, and there was branches in front of it. I've had two people tell me the same story.
Well, and I
Um,
get. Oh, I'm sorry. You go on.
oh, and that would have been like those 3 days, and I had like a weird feeling going past it, like there is something not right, like a gut feeling. I don't know what it was, but I just,
Well, and I just want to remind people too that it's hunting season. Everybody around here hunts, and it
yeah,
wouldn't be anything too weird to see a vehicle pulled over on the side because it's their land, they can hunt it. But to see it there for a few days would be suspicious because you would worry that somebody's hurt. If it were moved, maybe, but if it's in the same spot, you're going to think, well, I thought it was a hunter, but why hasn't it moved? That's not normal, right?
Right.
And now, did you say that there was bullets or damage to it?
I didn't say that yet, but
Okay. All right, I'm sorry. I got ahead of you. I'm sorry, Anna. Okay. Well,
so
I'm trying to say even more reason to feel a little suspicious and watch the car every time you drive by because you're like, what the hell's going on
because
with that car?
there was like the window was broke from like a bullet hole or something. It was weird. And
Okay.
yeah.
So that's the first, and what time did you say you saw it?
It was there. It was there the whole time.
Okay.
The first and the second, and then the third. The night of the third. The night of the third, I was on my way home from Maribel, the same place I was dropping the kids off on October 31st. So I'm on my way home. It's nighttime. It's about a half an hour to an hour before the news comes on. I thought the news came on at 9 o'clock, but according to people, it comes on at 10 o'clock. I don't watch the news anymore. But so a half an hour to an hour before the news came on the 3rd, which would have been the first night it came on the news, there was another car down there. And when it came on the news, I told my ex that I had seen it down at the turnaround. He asked me if I was for sure, and I told him yes. I was like, should I call the cops? He was like, no, don't bother. Because I told him, I swear there was a cop car down there when I went past.
And that is around 10, you're saying?
It
Because
was
you're
around
home now.
it was around 9:30 when I would have
Mm-hmm.
seen the cop car down by the turnaround behind the RAV4.
And see, now I'm going to stop you because I got to interject here because that's so important because at like
Or not.
6:34 is when Andy Colburn goes over to the salvage yard and Steven comes out and he talks to him pretty casually and says, yeah, we're looking for Teresa. She was here. And it was just a casual conversation. And then he claims he leaves and takes his patrol car back to the sheriff department and just stays on shift. He doesn't clock out, but he goes to sit at the church across from George Zipperer's because they want to talk to George Zipperer. So now so I'd also like to add that when Andy Colburn went to Stephen Avery's, the RAV was at the turnaround. He passed it. When he left Stephen Avery's at 6:34, he passed the RAV4 again. There is no way he's a patrol officer. That's what they do. He would absolutely have seen that car, and a lot of people saw that car. So
Oh.
now you see his car down there, and then doesn't he make the phone call in the plates?
He called in the plates the night of the 3rd. The
Yep.
dark green RAV4, Toyota
Yep.
RAV4 was seized
99.
the night of the 3rd.
That's right. Yeah.
So whose
But
dark green Toyota RAV4 were we all seeing at the turnaround?
okay.
And then
Now
the
next day.
the next day, the 4th, I was down that road. So it was before, so third shift, or not third shift, I was working second shift at Northern Labs. So second shift would have started at 3:30. That's why I'm thinking October 31st, I didn't work. I took the kids trick or treating. But on the 4th, taking the kids down that road, that RAV4 wasn't at the turnaround. But across the street in a wooden shed, there was a vehicle. And I'm not for sure exactly what color that vehicle was, but that was a RAV4, I do believe. And it
And
was
it
more
was
of a
back
bluish
then.
color, I want to say that one was. I'm not. That one,
And
it was back then. So you seen the front of it.
right, and we have that mapped out and the address of that warehouse, and we tracked it back to who it belongs to and stuff. And it's been rebuilt, but the satellite images we have of it are from when it was still the original. So
So
big garage door, it's right there, right across from the turnaround, right
yep.
there,
And it was a ran down building back then.
right.
Like it was ran down.
So then on the 4th, you think you see it over at the warehouse, and I talked to another local who also saw it at the warehouse across the street.
Yep.
Okay, so then what?
Then I didn't pay much attention to it
Because it was gone,
because
and you thought,
yeah,
okay,
yep. The next day, the 5th, the morning of the 5th, my son's father goes to me, "Hey, did you hear? They found it on Avery's property." And I'm like thinking to myself, how the hell could they find it on Avery's property when I know it was at that turnaround?
Yeah.
mm-hmm,
Yeah. But the 4th also, the 4th is the day I swear I seen them searching. And you have to think, it came on the news the night of the 3rd, and they had searchers out the 4th already looking for her and looking for her vehicle. I swear that's the day that I seen John Campion and Pam Sturm down there. Now, somebody told me John Campion didn't have anyone with him searching. Well, there's also his statement saying that he was the one that found the phone down there. But then Pam Sturm on the stand is saying that she's the one that found it. And I swear she was down there searching with him on the 4th.
yes. And then she says in the trial too that, oh, no, 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 I did not start volunteering to search until the day I found it. Nope, we weren't out there before that. And yeah, John Campion claims he found it on his own. So I don't know if he doesn't know that he's part of the cover up. I mean, is he going to pay much attention to what he, said, or that it's a big deal or not? Because then on the stand too, Pam, they ask her what day what day did she find that phone? Oh, she just couldn't remember that date. Maybe the 8th. Bullshit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he
Mm-hmm.
supposedly found it on the 9th.
Well, I'm not sure. I don't know. I
Yeah,
might not have that
that's what
completely.
I just read his statement the other day, and supposedly he found it on the 9th because that's the 9th is when the officer went with somebody else
And now
to photograph it.
John Campion owns the restaurant bar down the road called Ring of
He
Fire. Is that right?
no,
No, what does he own? He owns something down there.
I don't know if he owns anything in Michigan anymore, but he did own the Wolves Den.
Okay. Yep.
But
Sorry.
he doesn't own that anymore. Somebody else bought
Okay.
it.
Okay. So he's just a local that probably saw the car down there. They didn't get that information, which is what led them to find the phone. But now there's something that I always like to bring up with you because people don't know this. You said that the same investigation, all of the hoopla that they did on Cuss Road, they also did at the 147 turnaround. Is that right?
Not it like how do I want to say this? They had cops over at that turnaround and people searching down there. And that
Okay.
I don't know if they didn't have like that extent to like how those pictures were
Right.
with all
With the helicopter and shit.
yeah, they didn't have like pictures of what was going on down by the turnaround. I don't know what they all searched down there.
But you said you saw a search effort down there. You saw
Yeah,
cops. You saw them searching it
yeah.
like anywhere
They
else.
had that whole road blocked. So not
Mm-hmm.
that see, and that's another thing. So that day, the 4th, I was still able to go down that road because Mirabelle is, past that road, whatever, or on that road, but out in the country, whatever. But so I'm on that road and I could get through that day. The next day on the 5th, when I wanted to take my kids, I had to take a whole back way to get to the babysitter because they had that road blocked off and you couldn't get through. So on the 4th, yet you could still get through. And then the 5th, they blocked it off from like, I'm not for sure how far up, but you couldn't go down there.
Mm-hmm. But nothing. They don't give you any indication anything was found at that turnaround. And now the best part about it is that we just, I mean, everybody knows that Scott Taddick lived on 147, and I don't think people know that Scott lived across the street, but from the turnaround you could literally see where Scott's trailer was. So Bobby's going to Scott's hunting land, which is, and Scott claims he's going to a different hunting land, and they claim they passed each other at Jambo Creek Road. But it's sure right there, isn't it?
Jambo
right
Creek
there
Road is right there too. Yeah.
Well, Jambo Creek, but Scott's is before the turnaround. Scott is the closest thing to the fucking turnaround.
Yeah.
And then what, the next year Link comes in and condemns his trailer and they burn it to the ground?
It wasn't the next year.
No,
I swear it was like boom, boom, boom.
oh,
Like right around that same time, Courtney.
Yeah.
It was right around the same time that was all going on. Same with the turnaround now has a chain up across it. It has like right after the stuff with Teresa, that turnaround, they put a chain across it and no one could go down there anymore. And across the street, that building that I'm telling everyone about right now, it was I was told, and my dad was the one that told me this. So my dad died like in 2006 or 7. 2006 my dad died, so right after. And my dad, so they remodeled that right after that stuff happened too, and it was said that it was high schoolers that were remodeling it for a high school project.
Yeah, I'll bet it was. Mm-hmm. And people probably also don't know that Larry Ledvina's family lived right down the road too. So that's always interesting. But I learned last week that the turnaround there, right behind it, there used to be an old dam back there. And Anna, when you and I drove by it, remember I was saying there's a berm right there. It's almost, we haven't, I don't know, do people know that Barb and Scott live, their property butts right up against, right now, against the turnaround? You could literally, they blew up the dam, but you could still walk across the stones onto Scott's property right now.
Yep.
And I don't know who owned it back then, but it's a little odd that right now he and Barb own the property that butts. All they have to do is walk into the river and they're on Scott's property. And you know he knew everybody in the area. They all fish off the bridge, and people were back there. But here's my question to you, and you know I say it every day, and to anybody listening, I feel like it would have been easiest, like they're trying to say, it would have been Stephen Avery did it, and she never left the property. And I ask all of you, if Chuck did it, Earl did it, Scott did it, if Bobby did it, whoever did it, why would they have to take it off the property? If Bobby did this, he'd be a fucking fool to take it off the property. He'd do it in his own property, and they'd all support him. And any one of them, Chuck, turn it around. Could Chuck have done this? Of course, but we didn't do it that way in the trial. They could have taken Teresa, and her car could have been crushed and gone in 30 freaking seconds. So why was that RAV taken off that property and they left it at that turnaround for people to see? There's no way that Bobby, Chuck, Earl, even if it was the cops, there's no way they're dumb enough to leave it for the entire town to see it, and the entire fucking town saw it. So what was the point of them getting it off that property? And I feel like it was because it was planned all along, and they knew they weren't going to use that RAV4, because also, like I say, stop any 25-year-old woman, look in her car, it's full of her DNA. It's full of hair, skin, nails, you name it. So
Right.
they had that plan. But still, you have to sit back and go, why did Bobby, you know, they carried out a plan, I believe. They had to carry this out. I don't know who's all involved, but I know the cops are. That's all I'm going to say.
I know the cops are too. But
Okay, Anna, here's something that we haven't never talked about. I don't think. We talked about your informant stuff. Did we ever talk about you leaning on the green RAV4 in 2010? We may have talked about that. Did we ever talk about Detective Andrew Beck asking you if you knew Barb Yanda and Bobby Dassey in 2009 and 10?
I think so. I think,
We didn't.
but we had that. Like, it was like, so
We talked about you leaning on the
Beck,
RAV4, but you never talked about. We talked about you leaning on the RAV4 in the Manitowoc County
Yeah, I leaned up
garage,
against it and I wiped
but we
it.
never got to the part about Carmen Boutwell and about them asking the other question. So will you tell us that story, please?
About Carmen Boutwell, them dropping me off by my sister.
Explain explain how it goes when you are the informant. And then you said the one day Andrew Beck asked you if you knew Barb Yanda or Bobby Dassey. And what year was it, and what was the circumstance?
So this was the end of 2009, beginning of 2010. And I was working for Drug Metro. And I think it first was Detective Andy Beck dropped me off. Let me do it this way. Detective Andy Beck dropped me off at a house that my sister had just started renting. Her and her ex had moved into this house in Manitowoc, and there were cameras up on the front, and it was weird. And Beck had dropped me off because I didn't have a vehicle that day. And he dropped me off by my sister, and he seen the house when we were coming down the road, and he asked me if I knew who Carmen Boutwell was. And
in 2009.
I was like, huh?
In 2009.
End of 2009, beginning of 2010.
Mm-hmm.
And he asked me if I knew who Carmen Boutwell was, and I was like, do you have a picture of her? Maybe. I might have seen her back in the day walking the strip or something.
But you didn't know who she was, right?
No,
you didn't know at that point. Okay.
Nope. And he was like, oh, she was a big drug dealer in Manitowoc. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So anyways, because he drops me off at this house and he was questioning me if I knew who lived in the house, or how I knew Boutwells. And I didn't put two and two together. But John Boutwell, I had sold my white Grand Prix to in 2000.
Hold on, now this is her dad. This is her dad, not her brother, her dad.
Yep.
Okay.
Her dad. I had sold him a white Grand Prix. And that Grand Prix, when my sister was living in this house, was in that yard. My sister moved into this house like maybe a month or two after this guy dies in this house. And supposedly John Boutwell died in the hospital of a severe hemorrhage. His girlfriend at that time, when my sister moved into that apartment, the lower apartment, told my sister that she was on the phone with him, and she was going over to his house, and when she got there, and she was gone for like 10 minutes, but when she got there, he had been deceased on the floor. So
at his
anyways,
house.
Working for Drug Metro and Beck dropping me off there, So years later, my sister and I are talking about this, and this was a couple years ago. And my sister says to me, we were talking about this house, and my sister says the last name Boutwell, that it was Boutwell's house. And I'm like, what did you just say? Because I didn't put two and two together. And it just scared the shit out of me because I sold John my vehicle. Detective Beck was asking me about Carmen. And I remember John Boutwell when he rode with me home asking me or saying something about Avery, saying that it wasn't Steve. And it had to do with his daughter, and that a pretty girl like me should not be left. I shouldn't be alone without a gun or a man at the house because I didn't have a boyfriend at the time, right? And yeah, crazy.
Okay, so now talk about
Now,
when
so this stuff happens with Carmen, or that, and I have to do another like snitch or whatever. They're trying to get me to snitch on someone. Well, me, and Robert Art went for a ride because I was trying to set someone up that lived in Green Bay, and we were gonna meet up in Mirabel at the Ridge, uh, Cedar Ridge thing, whatever, that restaurant that's not there anymore. Um, so we're driving down Highway 147, and Beck's questioning me, asking me if I knew Barb Todick, and
Barb
questioning me
Yanda,
about
didn't he say Yanda?
Barb Yanda, yeah, Barb Yanda, and Bobby. And I was like, isn't that the one that went to jail or whatever? And he said, no, that was the brother. And I think I said something to Beck about, because we went down Highway 147, and I think I said something to him about that turnaround right there. And oh my God, I can't go through this. I'm remembering more and more, and it's not even funny.
But don't you think it's obviously pretty weird that in 2009 he's asking about? Don't you think it's weird in 2009 he's asking about Carmen, and then 2010?
After I leaned up against this RAV4 that was in the Manitowoc Sheriff's Department, I leaned up against it, wiped it off, and I had said to him, oh, I've seen this vehicle before, and he was like, oh yeah, where? And when he said it was a piece of investigating material, I went over to it and wiped the back of it, because there was a hole in that vehicle too. And I got fucking creeped out about it. Pardon my French.
That would be funny if they could test the RAV4 to see if your fucking sweat DNA's on it.
Not funny, because seriously, this shit's all happened to me. And I have no freaking proof of it, but it seriously did.
Well, and that's just that Zellner's, claiming that she's cleared the cops of all their framing, but they won't release the RAV4. So I think people are just going to wait and hope for the RAV4, but I don't believe they're going to give her the right RAV4 anyway.
Nope.
I'm pretty sure that RAV4 is gone. And
and people ask me about the color, if I'm sure. Of course I'm freaking sure. This was in 2005 when I seen it the first time, and it was green. In 2009, end of 2009, beginning of 2010, it was green. It was green.
Okay,
I know what I seen. It's only like 5 years later.
Okay, now I want you to talk about when you were out last month and the guy that came up to you and told you that tell that story, would you please?
About the guy saying that he would like to talk to me about stuff that he's got, or the other one about the pictures?
The pictures.
Yeah, so I went, and this guy was telling me that he was on the Avery's property.
Hey, can I just let me start it out with this, sorry to interrupt you, that not to act like you're a big, huge celebrity, but people are coming up to you now because you've come forward. And I'm actually pretty astounded that you were just saying something about your niece saw your video. That's pretty
Yeah, my
remarkable.
niece saw my video
My
and was
niece.
making fun of me.
But
She was
anyway,
making fun of the
people
way I looked.
are
I was like, really?
people are coming up to you now and literally saying, "I can't believe you spoke up," or one. I think you said one guy said, "Why didn't you come forward sooner?" And you had that conversation, all that. But it's
Yeah.
pretty cool that people are seeing that you're speaking up and now
Yeah.
they are speaking up. So that is amazing and good for you. So go on. Thank you, hon. Sorry to interrupt you again.
Now I forgot where I was at.
You're
What was
talking
I
about the
talking?
pictures.
Oh yeah. So this guy, I was out and he's talking or he's telling me he brings up about Kim Ducat, about Adam Ducat and how he was good friends with, yeah,
Kim's son
and
that passed away last year,
yeah,
which, yeah.
and then I was like, you do realize Kim is Steve's cousin, right? And because then that got brought up about, Avery. I was like, you do realize they're related to Avery, right? He was like, yeah. And I was like, Steve didn't do it. And he was like, yeah, he did. I'm real good friends with the family. I'm like, yeah, and your point. Anyways, he's like, he was on the property. I don't know when, but it was after the crime scene stuff happened out there when they took pictures. And supposedly they left behind a roll of camera film. And he said he has this roll of camera film. And when he got it developed, it's of a green RAV4. And I said to him, I was like, you do realize that that's a really big thing, that a lot of people think that this RAV4 is blue. He goes, no one thinks it's blue. Everyone knows it's green. I was like, really? I was like, you seriously have no freaking clue, man. You seriously have no clue. And there's evidence right there that no one's seen if he's got it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And how do we get him to come forward? Because, well, we know a little bit about the guy and who he's connected to, but there's a part of me that does want to throw his name out there. So
I don't
Zellner,
do it.
I'm not gonna, but you know what I mean? If people have proof, they need to come forward, but they're
Right?
slow in coming,
Because
but we're getting them.
yeah, it's he's got pictures of a green one. He said so. I
Mm-hmm.
want to see him.
But and Anna, the reason I want to throw his name out there is so let's see. Well,
So
Manitowoc County can go investigate it. Well, why should he sit on proof, especially when he's going to walk around going, he's guilty, but he has a roll of film. Yeah, we won't say his name, but I hope the little shit comes forward because I
right.
don't think. Well, I'm pretty sure that those pictures will be gone pretty damn quick. And I'm
That's why
pretty
I
sure
said
when me, you,
we
and
can't
Kim
because
pulled up to the guy,
Manitowoc goes and investigates him, and he gives
Anna,
them the picture. They're going to be gone.
Anna, the day that you, me, and Kim pulled up to the guy, I
Yeah,
think he was a little intimidated.
I think so too.
I think he was like, "Yeah, you ladies have a good day. I ain't talking to you
I
bitches."
know.
And
He's
that
like,
seriously, the guy wanted to crawl out of his skin because we're just sitting there looking at him like, "Hey." But he wasn't going to talk about it, and he has a relation in the sheriff department too. So, who knows?
yep.
Who really knows? If he has them, would be cool, but you know. And that's for other people too to feel comfortable coming forward with whatever they have.
Yeah, I wish
You
more
know.
people would still start to come
Well,
forward
that's something I
more.
did want to.
More.
That's something that I do want to talk about quickly because I think when we first, well, Anna has talked to other researchers that didn't really maybe trust what you were saying or feel comfortable putting out the stuff, but um, we also, well, then it came out. I don't know. We think it was one of the creepier researchers is that acting like you're lying and shit like that. So anyway, So we kind of concluded when we first put out the information, and we talked to Stephen about it, and he talked to Zellner about it. And that is how we found out that Kathleen Zellner said she did look at you, but she didn't find you credible. So at that time, we were like, well, fuck you, lady, and really, it kind of sucked. But what I've learned since we came out with the video is that I think she's got way easier people to prove are credible, Anna. You know
Yep.
what I mean? And I
Yep.
know she's got a handful of people because I've talked to some of them and they're not coming forward because they can't. But they're saying exactly what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I don't want you or anybody to take it as you are not credible because you are. We believe what you are saying absolutely, and you know, I get her angle if that's the way she's going with it, but it doesn't mean we have to stop because it's about us coming forward, and a lot of people know. Everybody in that town knows.
Right, and it's not just Steve Avery that's getting shit
Mm-mm.
done to him. These cops are doing it to other people.
And
It's not just
everybody's
Steve and Brendan, they're doing it to other people.
right.
Yeah.
It
Right.
needs to be, it's not just about me coming out with this stuff and, I'm not lying about it for one, but it's about them doing it to other people besides
Right.
besides
What I've
you know
what I've noticed from even from the last few weeks of people that have gotten a hold of me, they're really, really anxious to tell about all the horrific corruption they faced with law enforcement. And they're actually, when they call me, they're just like spewing so much information that I can't even wrap my head around, but they're all still afraid to meet face to face, because they are so afraid. People don't really get it that we do talk. I just talked to Kim Ducat. Anna and I talk about it all the time. We absolutely do fear for our lives. We fear they're going to frame us like they did Ron Fensel, like they did Steven. It's very easy for them to do. So we know the risk of coming forward. We're trying to build an army so people can come forward. It's going to take the locals speaking up.
right?
Yep. And you're a rock star for doing it, Anna. So, you know,
Yeah.
it's
I
got to
try.
come out. Yeah, I bet. Wow, wow, wow.
God
All
bless
right.
you. God bless you, Anna, and God bless you, Courtney, because you are really doing the right thing and you are amazing. You are awesome. Thank you.
Thank
We
you.
just,
You're welcome.
it's hard for us because we live here and we just sit and, we think about it a lot more because we live here. We also feel a sense of being safe right now because there's so many eyes on the county, which also makes me want the truth to come out because if the if the police department and the sheriff's department aren't cleaned up, there's no hope, you know. It's never going
Right.
to stop and we're all just sitting ducks. But I got to say this too is that this community, you don't Manitowoc, Mishicot, Two Rivers, people around there aren't following this case like the researchers are. They don't even know we're out here. They might be on a Facebook page here or there, but they have no idea that there's so many people, trying to expose this.
Right.
So, as always, I'd love for everybody to unite so there could be some support. And I'll say this as well, every single person, every confidential informant that I have, every person I've spoken to says nobody is listening to the locals. They don't get the story right. They're not even telling it what they're saying correctly. So, everybody's missing a really big chunk of this, and that's the people that actually live here. So hopefully we can all get together and get the truth.
Right.
Yeah.
hmm And we're getting there. I'm hopefully meeting the guy next week, and he's got a whole setup. It's going to be awesome to do an interview. Well, he's ready to talk, and he knows all these players too. He's lived here forever too.
A
You know?
message for all the locals hearing this podcast: please come forward and say the truth. Now we have two innocent guys on prison, and at the same time we have two warriors, two great women trying to do something with the corruption on Manitowoc. And at the same time, I want to ask something to Courtney. Courtney, how it is Kim Ducat?
Oh, she is good. I believe the 15th is the year anniversary of her son Adam passing away, so it's really a hard time. And today she has a toothache, so she's not doing so great today. But anyway, she's with us 100%. She still talks to Steven every week, maybe a couple times a week, and it's frustrating. We're frustrated, but we're still going.
Yeah.
And I know she appreciates all the support you give her. Really, she does, and anybody that gives it to her, because she's really taken a shit rap on all of this. Just so everybody can remember that,
Yeah.
with coming out with what Chuck did, and then the community shunning her and treating her like the bad one.
I didn't shun her.
You didn't. Well, and still to this day to not give her the recognition of being strong enough to come forward to even cause people to look at what they needed to look at,
Right.
Yeah, she's a rock star too.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah, we're like the three musketeers out here. You got these three silly old ladies that are trying to get the truth out, and we're meeting a lot of resistance, but you know what? We're pretty strong.
Yeah.
And we'll
Yeah.
take all your support from Spain. Hell yeah. Bring it.
Right?
It's not
Mhm.
easy to do what we are doing because it's like Kim Ducat, on the social media and so was attacked. I was attacked. Courtney, you were attacked too. And it's like our destiny. All the people saying the truth and trying to get justice for these guys, and we are banished somehow or threatened, but we have two options: to shut up or to still talking and still researching. So that's our goal now, to free these both guys.
Yep, as always.
Yeah, yeah,
And we're we're getting them. We're getting them, you guys. We got to. We'll let Zellner do what she's doing, but the truth still needs to come out around here.
Right.
yeah,
And people have spent a lot of years researching the corruption. Don't put it all on one fucking kid, okay? This is
There's
way
a lot of
deeper.
corruption.
Well, there is, and there's a big, huge secret that they're all part of too. And the sad thing is it shouldn't really all fall on one kid again. They don't care about kids, people. I hope people realize that about the state of Wisconsin, because they'd put it on Bobby so fucking fast and have a party over it, right? And even better if the poor kid kills himself, right?
Right.
Isn't it just done then? I want everybody to always remember that the same manipulation and coercion that they used on Brendan, they use on everyone.
yeah,
It's all manipulation. Their communication is simply for them to get what they need. So, you hear how Jeff Wish from DCI talks to Scott Taddick. So, yeah. Are we done?
I don't know. It is the first podcast of Manitowoc versus Stephen Avery, so it's it's been very good. Like we've been 15 minutes a lot of time, so if you have to say something to conclude, to finish, or you can do it.
I don't
I'm
have
good.
nothing. Thank you very much for hearing us. And yes, if there's anybody that wants to come forward, we got it. Kim Ducat's numbers in the book, always has been,
Right.
and we're here. And we got more. We're gonna get the people that have come forward to really come forward. So let's get them free.
Yeah, let's get free. And of course, it's just the first chapter of this podcast. We will continue. Yeah,
Yeah, can I say one more thing? I did come
of
up with one more
course.
thing. I just want to say to Barb Taddick, if you are involved in this, lady, I don't know, can I say that I'm gonna beat the fucking shit out of you? Because I am. So maybe that's a threat, but come on. And or like I was saying today, let me ask everybody out there, if these were your children, Bobby and Brendan, at some point, wouldn't you just say, fuck it, I did it? If Brendan were your son, wouldn't you just say, fuck it, I did it? Get my kid out of a cage. There's something really fucking wrong here. And I've stood up a little bit for Barb, but I'm telling you, if I find out that lady is involved in what went on there, oh, yeah.
I stood up for her yesterday because there was that thing on Cat Chatter on Facebook, but it got deleted off of there anyways.
Because she's out there saying her son is innocent.
Yep. It was a
Way to go,
petition.
Barb.
It was
Wow.
petition, and somebody wrote under it about um, him being guilty, and she was like, he's innocent. And I was like, guilty? The cops, they just needed Stephen, or they just needed Brendan because of Stephen, because that's the reason why they needed him
Mm-hmm.
to say something so that he, yeah.
And they
But it got
targeted
deleted
him.
off of there, so.
I think
And they,
the only way for Barbara to get Brendan be exonerated is the pardon of the governor, because if Brendan is not guilty, then I guess Bobby or Scott there has to be guilty, because Anna, I really believe in you. I believe in Tom Sowinski. Tom Sowinski saw Bobby near the RAV4, pushing the RAV4 to the Avery Savage Yard. So, if this case is a puzzle, you don't have to be very intelligent to see that there is something fishy about Barb, about Bobby, about and Chuck, of course, but the
right. But if the family sat and planned this out, again, they're not going to take the damn Rav off the property either. They did it for someone. This was planned. Everything you saw on Making a Murderer was a show for the people.
yeah,
How do you think Ken Kratz felt when he saw the film crews? You don't think they didn't start immediately coming up with a damn good plan?
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly, I think Kim just asked Stephen last week. She said, I've been meaning to ask you this. She said, why did they even need a coroner? A coroner comes to determine if a person is dead or alive.
yeah,
So why did Mike Glazer go onto the property at all?
yeah,
And then she said something about the bones. And he said the only thing they had was one tooth that matches Teresa. That's what they have. And I can tell you right now, you could go in my dresser and I have a tooth. So, but he said he had never thought of that either because Kim's like, why did they even need one? There was no body. Even if it was a bone, they don't need a coroner. So,
yeah,
and then she also asked him a couple weeks ago when the beef started with Tom Kusurik. Like when did it all start? Because we're trying to figure that out. And Steven said it started with Al and Kusurik. And he says he remembers a time where Al came out with a shotgun when Kusurik was on the property. So,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
if there's a lot more going on than anybody really knows, and it's that deep and dirty.
Yeah, and I'm absolutely sure that there are several locals now in silence, not saying nothing. And of course,
Well,
it's.
give them a place to say it. Give them a good, safe place to speak, and they'll come forward, right?
Yeah,
And even if they don't want to work with Zellner, that's fine too. Zellner needs to do what she needs to do, but we still have to keep ourselves alive out here and keep trying to expose the truth. So, and like I always say, it's not her job to clean up these communities, it's ours. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
and maybe we can. Larry Ledvina is retiring. Woohoo!
Well,
All right. Thank you again. This was awesome, and I hope it is well received.
Just thanks. Thanks for
thanks.
listening to me.
Of course, this is your channel, this is your podcast, not mine. And of course, every one of you listeners, all of you watchers of this YouTube channel, you can write a comment in case that you have something to say, or in case that you saw something between October and November of 2005. And of course, if you heard something on a tavern or something like that, or you know something about someone, this is your place. We are just trying to get the truth and to get the justice. So, thank you very much to my dear Courtney, to my dear Anna. This is just the beginning, and this is the start of the 2022 year. We have a great year in front of us for us to continue researching and to continue getting truth. So, thank you very much, Hannah, Anna, and Courtney.
Good night.
Bye
Good
bye.
night.